Hello, this is Pharaoh Vincent with Nation 443, and I wanted to get into what is going to be a can of worms today. And the reason I say that is because we're going to be talking about fleets in AOZ, and unfortunately the answer to the correct fleet is not you send this every time and it works. And it wasn't that way when I first left, but it's even less that way now because your stats, your city build, if you will, is going to greatly determine that, as well as what content are you going into. So it is going to be my effort to spend a bit more time for various events to be specific to that event fleet. So what do I mean by that? My fleets are going to be different for kind of general everyday things versus an elite war, right? So my elite war fleets will be different than my Iron Blood battlefield fleets, will be different than my Chaos Land fleets, right? Those will be different than Void fleets. My Frenzy fleets are different than my Void fleets. So every event that we do, we generally are going to run into different fleets. I'm going to do my best to talk about what fleet makeup should be for really three possible scenarios. And then we're going to really get into, how to build the specific fleet for the specific event. Again, three scenarios. So scenario one is you're fighting by yourself. Scenario two is you're fighting as part of a team. And then scenario three is you're fighting as part of a team, but you're the big guy in your alliance, right? Because I hate to say this, but some members are going to be more, weak than, let's say, your big whale spenders or, those dolphins or whatever vernacular you'd like to use to describe the people underneath of the whales that may be more inside of the team mechanic, right? And so how you build is going to depend on those three scenarios. And then there's a secondary portion of that, which is, we have mid-range players, my preferred range, and we have long-range players, which happens to be the city I'm on. I know both. I'll be able to tell you both. At this stage of the game, I am so sorry if anyone is still somehow playing Melee. I doubt you are, but if you are a person out there who's playing Melee, we're not even going to bother anymore. And plus, your fleet was easy anyways. You just hit send because the Melee troops show up at the top. So I'm just saying, those will be the criteria. Now, I'm starting off with some everyday fleets. And I say everyday like, I don't know, we're always cleansing our nation, right? Everyone knows that we're always going to be cleansing out these tiny little cities that, no one really wants, right? These little tiny little farms with no stats. We're always going to be attacking them. And so my fleet here is not going to be the best example of it, but I'm going to show you guys anyways. Because we really don't need zombies, but I have so many of them, I'm willing to lose some for some extra biochemical material. But you can kind of see where I don't even bother with mid-range troops anymore. There's no point, and I don't have enough to really lose anyways. And you don't need a lot when you're hitting a small city, right? You always want to consider, how much melee do I need to kill my target? And in this case, I really don't need much, right? Because, this person's not going to break through my tanks. And even then I could have reduced, but you can kind of see where you don't want to have too much melee. So when you're solo, definitely a thing to consider. Again, targets matter. And then we get into the other two scenarios, and that's going to be on the same report. I'm technically the big guy, but I don't have the troops to be the big guy fleet, so I'll show you the big guy fleet. But when you are looking at like a battle like this, you know, where you're running into a farm with 1 million troops that are all, T11 plus, or sorry, T11 and down, right? When you run into a farm like this and you go, well, yeah, this thing needs to die. We, brought a bunch of people, and you can kind of see my fleet here. I'm sending significantly more melee. Yes, I even added in the mid-range now because I know I'm going to consider a buffer depending on how my folks go. And I even have some low-tier troops so that I'll lose from them first because, again, my city needs the help. But to show you, like, Xside, who is going that, he does not need to send those 100,000 tanks, right? Or 100,000 T12 shredders. But he is sending pretty much all of his fleet as, at least 2/3 of his fleet as his damage dealing troop, which is the T12 EMP cannon. And those T12 EMP cannons, by the way, they do amazing damage. If anyone does not understand their mechanical interaction, let us talk about them now. Because the T12 EMP cannon has their every third hit, but there's a big but here. But when it comes to your workshop troops, their special ability, in this case, you can read it here, every 3 attacks will trigger a devastating beam that deals damage to up to 3 units, right? This particular thing, what they don't tell you, the hidden interaction, is at the start of the fight. It only takes 2 hits, not 3. So the very first hit will always be, the very first hit will be a regular hit. The second hit will be that. So you can actually watch the cannon go 1, and then that little bomb appeared above it. That means that it's about to go off. Or wait. Maybe the bomb's different. I don't remember the bomb being there. I know what it looks like because you can just watch the muzzle flare. And you see that long line that appears close to the 10-second mark. That's its second hit. Right? We'll do one more. Because the first shot, you can see, kind of goes off. It's hard to see. Muzzle flare. We'll watch the third one. And you can see it doesn't have that long lead up. So again, 2 hits, fires off. Cannons, not the same thing, right? They go to their 1, 2, 3. Because they're going to go 1, 2, 3. And then you get that 3 shot. And so that's why, like, workshop troops are so devastating. The main thing to consider in this report, what I would have done differently, is we actually sent way too much melee for that particular target, right? As a team, we don't even get close to losing all of our troops. Like, not even somewhat close to losing all of our troops. Our melee, like, there's still axes for crying out loud. It's an 11-second fight. I mean, he got destroyed. And just because I know there's people out there that love this part, like, I'm one of those people. You can see definite farm stats, right? 470 LRA on a city with 1 million troops. That's a problem. That's a big problem. So, again, the correct kind of lead up you're looking for depends greatly on stats. And you'll get to know that as your city hits things more and more. Like, watch your battle reports, see when your melee dies. The best thing to reduce the amount of losses is to make sure that your melee is dying right around the time that you're hitting their titans. Because if you're hitting their titans, like, right before that you hit their titans and you've killed off of all their troops, that's a pretty good space to be where you're not going to encounter a ton of losses. So The second piece of this is kind of mid-range, and I want to just throw that out there real fast. Mid-range players will know this, but for anyone who doesn't play mid-range or is thinking about mid-range, key and crucial levels. You swap with rockets. So every other tier, your even tier troops are going to have rockets. Your odd tier troops are going to have a vast majority of the Havoc troops. So Havoc Breaker in this case, or Havoc Dominator, right? This is the T11. I like to call these guys the laser dudes, right? So your laser dudes, same deal as your EMP cannons. They'll fire off their special on 2. So your the strongest you'll get is on your odd tiers for troops. That's why like C41 on paper is a little stronger than a long range for a mid-range player. Those fleets, typically though, you're going to want to make sure that you are really indexing a little bit more onto melee. When it comes to mid-range, because you don't have that buffer of, any kind of zombies or mid-range troops, you're going to want to watch out. So you're looking at less than 1% of my fleet was melee in this particular instance, only because the city I was hitting I knew was going to be super weak. If you find a city that, has some okay stats, and I don't know if they did or not. We'll look at one more report. I don't remember if this guy had good stats or not. No troops. Yeah, 827. But when you're looking at, a battle report, there you go. Something like this where, you're going to have a little bit more, you'll notice that I have a fair bit of melee. Plus it's an SOS. Anytime you're sending an SOS, you can always just send your uranium fleet or whatever else you feel like, as long as you're willing to heal it. So, just to summarize, there's a lot of info. The best troops you have for killing are going to come out of your workshop, this building up here, because they shoot on 2 at the beginning of a fight. You want to have just enough melee that you're not going to have your troops get hit with direct fire. And lastly, you're going to want to make sure that you know what it is that you're going into it with, right? So if you're going into a big team battle and everyone is sending 1% troops, but you don't need it, you're going to end up with some heavier losses than you required. And that's kind of the main cornerstone of a lot of fleets that we're going to get into as we go through this series. I wanted to start with this one because, again, if I went to all the fleets, right off the bat, we'd be here for an hour. So we're breaking that up. But at least to start with the fleets and to start with the understanding, let's start there. And then let's build off of this. So you're going to see more videos on fleets. We're going to get more specific into uranium mine fleets next, because again, that's going to be the most common place where you're going to be attacking people. I'm also going to try to get some fleet information. I actually haven't settled on what I like the best, but I'm going to get some fleet information for Wasteland in the morning. So when this comes up, I'm going to kind of pay attention to some of the reports and try to figure out a good way to show you guys recommended fleets, right? Wasteland's tricky. Again, Elite War's tricky because at some point you're going to get, whatever your troops are, that's what you're sending. But we will get into that on the next video. So those are the next 2 that I'm queuing up. We'll figure out what order we get into based off of YouTube and when it likes to release content. So with that, please feel free to comment, subscribe to the channel. That'd be great for me. Share with your friends, especially share around your nation. It does help this, channel a lot when we do that. So I appreciate any help you guys got, and I will see you on the next one.